other things that it gives us is God himself said, okay, let me tell you how I want you to think. Let me tell you, you know, what your precepts or priorities are, etc., etc. You know, so for instance, when the devil is talking to Eve, okay, he told her these things, right? He told her these things, but they weren't. But he either subtracted from what God said, right? Because he said, you know, did God really say, you know, all the fruit of the garden that you can't eat? You know, and when she said to him, oh, he said we would die if we eat, blah, blah, blah. He says, you will not surely die. Right? Now it's in the Bible. Right. He says, you're going to be like God. For God knows in the day of you eat of it, your eyes will be open, you will be like God, knowing good and evil. That was absolutely true. Because it was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And that was truth. But it's not revealed truth, because what he didn't add, you will know good and evil, but for the rest of your life, you'll never always be able to make a choice for good. So that's why God didn't want them to eat outside of his direction to eat. So now we know good and evil, but we never always make a choice for good, right? We have the atomic bomb, it can blow people up, or we can get nuclear energy. Did we just make a choice for good? No. We've made choices for evil. You know, and we have all these things which show that man within himself never makes all the time a choice for good. Hello. He never makes a choice for good.
Nice. Oh, man.
Yeah.
I was just thinking the same thing.
You know, he never makes a choice for good. So we need, so that's why it's important to understand the context of what's being said, who's being said, and to Christopher's or Matthew's point, or Ricky, I don't know who said it, but you're all right, that, you know, you then compare it to the rest of Scripture, and that's what people don't know. You know, the Bible says we learn precept upon precept, verse by verse, here a little, there a little. So when you see something over here, you now say, oh, okay, this is what it means. Right. Okay? So to your point, you know, that's important. The other thought is that, you know, I think there are parts of the Bible that we neglect, okay? And neglect in the terms of, you know, we're so busy looking at the spiritual context.
Songs of Solomon.
Right? Right? Songs of Solomon is one, but we're so busy looking at the spiritual context and not saying, you know, what's the application of my life. So for instance, look at Proverbs 22. Look at Proverbs 22 verses 26 and 27.
Do not be of those who shake hands in a pledge, one of those who is surety for debts. If you have nothing which to pay, why would you take away from your bed from under you?
Okay.
Why should he take away your bed from under you?
What do you think that verse is saying? What do you think that verse is saying?
If you can't fulfill, if you don't shake hands or don't make a deal with somebody that you're going to do something, if you don't even have the assets to do it, because what's going to happen, it's still going to be required from you. So they'll still take your bed. You know, even if you have the money, I'm coming for some, you made a deal with me, I'm taking the bed.
Okay.
If you sign a contract to get a car or something like that, you're in debt, you don't have the money to pay for it. At the end of the day, they're going to get their money back from you.
Why would you use a credit card to pay for something when you don't even have the money to spend, to pay for it?
Okay.
You shake your hands in the deck, you sign for the credit card, I shook my hand with Capital One.
I think
Well, there's nothing wrong with getting the credit card, it's just that when you start swiping, you don't have the money to pay for it back.
I think the last question, why should he take away your bed from under you? I think that's more of a like, don't be surprised type of thing.
That you lose your bed, right? But what the other question I have is, what does the word surety mean? Don't become surety for debt.
Oh, well, I guess if you make a deal to pay for something, you don't have it. I mean, it's a
collateral.
It's pretty much.
It's a collateral,
You have
right?
a record of.
Look at keep that verse there, but look at Proverbs 17 and 18 and see if it helps to strike it to the balance.
A man devoid of understanding, 17:18 Proverbs. A man devoid of understanding shakes his hand in a pledge and becomes surety for his friend.
Okay, so what do you think that's saying there? Huh? What do you think that's saying
People
there?
co-sign on the car.
Exactly.
Judge Judy.
Exactly.
I co-sign with him because I love him, and she got the older debt on her.
So what these verses, the reason why I brought that up is, what the verses are saying, to put it in modern day English, don't ever become a co-signer for someone. Because you have all of the responsibility and none of the ownership. So let's say your friend, you co-sign for your friend's car. Right? They're driving it around, perhaps you don't even get a ride in it, right? Then they stop making the payments, right? It's all on you. They're coming for your bed now.
Exactly.
So now you got to fulfill the payments, so you're the co-signer, right? Or they'll take the bed or whatever, or they take the car back, your credit gets messed up, and you never once got a ride in the car. As a matter of fact, when you call them up a few times to help you out, the guy didn't return your call. So when you read that now, how do I apply that to my daily life? From a financial perspective.
If your friend don't got the money to pay for it and their credit is bad,
if their credit is bad,
that means it's gonna be bad. You can't help them out.
Right. And so I tell family members, don't come here looking for me to co-sign. Right? Because if you can't take care of it yourself, then A, either you shouldn't have it, or B, you need to work on restoring your debt. Because you know why? Because if the person has bad debt or bad credit to begin with, chances are, you know, it's not going to stop it.
And it's not going to change.
Right, it's not going to
change anytime soon.
It's not going to change anytime soon until they correct their habits. So meanwhile, you get stuck with that, right? So that's a practical guidance for life. You know, that's a practical guidance for life. The other thought is when you, let's see.
What I do, if I can't give it to you, I don't loan it to you, because I'm not gonna get it back. So if I can't give it to you and say forget about it, I'm not gonna loan it out.
The other practical aspect, that's why I love that's why I love the book of Proverbs, is one here, you know, if you have, look at Proverbs 23, verse 4 and 5. Somebody read that one. Proverbs 23, verses 4 and 5.
Labor not to be rich, cease from thine own wisdom. Would thou set thine eyes upon that which is not, for riches certainly make themselves wings. They fly away like as an eagle towards heaven.
Okay, so what's the first part? It says, do not what?
Overwork. Sorry,
Okay. All right. Don't overwork, right? Some people work double time, triple time, all this thing, because their one goal is to be rich. And you know what the Proverbs are saying here? From a financial perspective, doesn't matter. He says, look at the stock market. People's portfolios was up, then they said, oh, who your investment is? Oh, Bernie Madoff's. I get 70% a year. All of a sudden, their money had wings. It's no more. Or the market crashed, or the economy went bad. You know, and there's always this thought that people are overworking, chasing the dollar, you know, and one day the dollar's up, the next day it's down. And God is saying you have to realize that riches within themselves, trusting within themselves is a bad move because it comes and it goes. The guy who's on top today is at the bottom tomorrow. Even Donald Trump, he was rich, he was bankrupt, now he's back at top. There's nothing saying that he cannot be bankrupt again because riches make wings. Look at 22 verse 7.
Sorry, 29?
Proverbs 22 verse 7.
The rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is a servant to the lender.
So what should that tell you?
Get rich.
No, keep reading it. The rich what? Okay.
The rich rules over the poor.
Poor, right?
The borrower is a servant to the lender.
All right. So what does that tell you about borrowing? About credit cards?
You become a slave.
Right? You will always be working, what, to pay that debt off, right? So you have to keep that in mind, right? Do you want to work so that the first, if you made $500 a week, do you want the first $400 always be going to paying bills, credit card bills? Get that balance. But in it all, don't think because someone is rich, it reflects a special blessing of God, because that's what these prosperity preachers preach. Because look at verse 2 in the same chapter. What does that say?
The rich and the poor have this in common: the Lord is maker of all of them.
Right. So the Lord makes who? Rich and poor. Right. So you can't claim a special connection to God because you're rich, because God, this verse says, well, God, lets them both happen. Many times we don't know why. So the rich can't be puffed up, the poor can't be depressed, because it's all the Lord's doing. Okay? Yeah, go ahead.
In reference to what we just read about the lender and the borrower,
Right.
it says 20%, this is in Business Week, it says 20% of the people, they control 84% of the wealth.
That's true.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So there's less lenders. Basically, the 20% of the population control 80% of the wealth. That means there's more slaves and less
Slave owners.
slave owners or the lenders. But the lenders,
There's less.
the servants outnumber the lenders.
Right.
But the lenders, they control the servants because they control most of the wealth.
So.
The rich rules over the poor.
Right. And look at Proverbs 16:23. The first part. What does that say?
The heart of
I'm sorry, 14, what is this? 14:23. 14:23.
In all labor there's profit, but idle chatter leads only to profound poverty.
Okay. In all labor, there is what? Profit. So that means, never thumb up your nose at a job. If you don't have money, if you're not working, it's okay to work at McDonald's. There's profit in it.
Right.
It's okay to sweep the streets and get paid for it. There's profit in it. All right? Never belittle. In other words, never belittle the job that God has sent your way in your particular time of need. Because in all of it, there's profit. Okay? There's profit in it. It says, the soul of the lazy man desires and has nothing, but the soul of the diligent shall be made rich. Matter of fact, God's commandment to Adam was to go out and take care of Eden. Okay?
Brother Archie,
Yeah.
in my version, I think it's the King James. It says, "In all labor there is profit, but the talk of lips tendeth only to penury." Is that poverty? Because
right, poverty.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an old English word for poverty, right? So it's saying, if you're idle, or you're not gonna make any money just talking about it. You ever sit down with someone and say, well, I don't want to take that job because I want to do this, and all they do is talk,
Right.
and then they hit you up for $5 after it's all over, It says idle chatter.
There's a verse, not a verse, I'm sorry, there's a truth or a wisdom or proverb. It's not biblical, but it says that the same energy it takes to wish, the same energy it takes to plan. So if you just stay in there wishing, you're wasting energy because you use that same energy you use in wishing to plan something.
Right. And that's important because, a lot of people spend energy, they wake up, and they spend all this energy trying to do this and to do that and this and that, but they end up doing nothing. And then there was another verse that I also